All right, back from the Phoenix Comicon. Had a great time. Saw, lots of just awesome costumes. Lots of cool folks walking around. Uh, got a lot of compliments on this. Everybody who saw it pretty much loved it. I ended up posing for lots of pictures. If you jump on random Facebook pages and the like, you'll probably see a few. Even got stopped in the street by some random folks, not non-con goers, and posed for a few pictures out there as well. So, like I said, the folks pretty much liked what I done. But on the other hand, how was it to wear this? Now, I'm military, so when you're done with something, you do an after-action review. You talk about what was good, what was bad, what was ugly, and that way you can do it better next time. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And I'll start with, I just kind of work through the armor here. Now, this is the chest piece here, and it's attached to the back. Very, very good. Worked out for me really, really well. It was easy to put on. All I had to do is lift it over my shirt. The only problem was, the clips on the side here. I could get one side done, no problem. But if I needed to do the other side, I either had to struggle. Easiest thing to do was, step outside my room and ask somebody to snap me up. So no problem there. It does look pretty good. Now, if you take a look here, let me get a close up. See if I can get a close up for you. You can see where the paint rubbed off on the edges there, just from rubbing against itself. But otherwise, the paint held really, really well. The N7, you know what? I forgot to glue that down, but guess what? It stayed in place with that little technique I showed you there. So that worked pretty well. Now let's go around to the back side. The back side I actually sat on one day, and Cambot said I broke it, but guess what? It's pretty good shape. Although again, you can see where the paint scuffed off on the edges. So with that in mind, if you want to go for that more battle damage look, maybe put a base coat of silver or something like that on here. Just a thought. So now the thing that didn't work too well were the EL lights. Yeah, I mean you can see them here, but yeah, you can see them glowing there, but wait a minute. Okay, now it's off. All right, you can see them glowing there, but they're just not bright enough in the convention center. They just don't put enough lights out. Now I did have these, and this is a little pack of Christmas LEDs, and I saw a few people using these, and these actually light up very, very well, so they're a lot easier to see. So if I were going to do that again, I think instead of going with the EL wire, I would go with the LEDs. So okay, no big deal. So that's that. So these shoulder pieces, when I added the straps inside them, very easy to put on. I was able to just slide them over my arm, pull them all the way up, and the Velcro tabs on these collar pieces usually caught them. So that was something I was able to put on my own. And then the arm pieces, the bicep and arm pieces, they worked. They just slid right into place. The only bad thing was they tended to actually slide down a little bit and press up against the edge of my wrist, and that was a little uncomfortable. It started to be a little painful after a while, actually. But I think that would be easily fixed by just snugging it up further up on your arm. Now see, I got a nice little ding right there. Again, no big deal. Paint's worn off here and there, but again, I think it held together pretty good. The gloves, well, you know what? The gloves looks good, but to be honest, I just couldn't wear them. Not because I wasn't able to manipulate anything, but because they were just too warm. When I was walking around down in the convention center, yeah, it's air conditioned, and the air conditioning, some spots on the air conditioning downdraft, you just wanted to park yourself in that and stay cool. But with the gloves on, just a little too hot, just a little too uncomfortable. So I wore the gloves for a while, but then just gave up on them. And not because I didn't like the way they felt. Now maybe if you had some really, really thin gloves, they would do it for you. But taking them off just helped keep me cool, or a lot cooler. Now, and that's something real quick on the side I can talk about the cool gear. The cool gear did keep me cool. This thing was not as hot and as uncomfortable as you would think to walk around in. Walking to the con in the sunlight, this actually insulated me from the worst of the heat. So by the time I got inside, I was maybe just on the uncomfortable side of warm, and not actually baking in this. So, and so this was cool. That was a lot of fun. So now let's see the collar piece. You can see the Velcro tab I have in here. That was I think that was Gorilla glued in. Yeah, it was. And I had another piece on the other side over here. But when Cambot was adjusting me, she actually gave this side a bit of a good yank and tore the Velcro piece off. So what I ended up having to do was roll this in tight and just hold it in place of gravity. It did not get Velcroed in. Now, if I were going to do it again, I think what I would do is I would actually sandwich the Velcro between these two pieces of foam, and that would do a great job of anchoring in place. Nothing would pull that loose. Nothing outside of just plain wrecking the armor. So yeah, that worked pretty well. Now, the piece that did give me some grief, or some of the pieces give me some grief, this is the piece that covers the upper calf, the muscle on your calf, and this is of course the lower leg piece. Now this piece worked fine, no complaints at all, and the way it worked, and with let me see, show you here, and with the giving me that room right there. Hey, you know what? No problem moving around at all, and it looked, like I said, it looked really good. But this piece right here was meant to go over the calf like that, and attach to these little Velcro tabs right here. Well, there's just not quite big enough to comfortably go over the calf, and so it worked itself loose on a regular basis, so it was frequently hanging on by one strip of Velcro. So I could have easily added a little bit of extra Velcro, and that's actually what I did. But I think do it again, make this piece a little bigger, or alternately, don't do this. Don't cut all this out, but instead just cut it out right here and have this come out and flare out. And again, design choice. We'll figure that out. The real problem that I had, though, was the hip and thigh piece. Now, if you take a look here, you notice I cut out the gasket area right here. And then you can see that I now have the two pieces attached with Gorilla Tape. And what I did was, I cut the gasket out because it was just a little too long. So the plan was to have the lower part of it, this piece here, attach separately from this piece. So went in and did that, but for some reason this lower left leg piece just kept wanting to slide down off my leg. I don't know why. Couldn't figure it out. Pulled it as tight as I could. I was at the point where I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll just wrap some Velcro around the outside of it to just hold it in place. But I went back to the room, and I ended up taping these two pieces together, and went back like that. And then this whole assembly started sliding down on me. So I'm like, now what? So the next day, when I went with, next day before, as I was gearing up, and I got the cod, I got the cod piece here, and I've got, the nylon strap going all the way around. What I did was I really cinched this nylon strap down, and then I pulled it over. Now it's going over the lower pelvis, going over the hips. So I pulled it super tight. Then I made sure all these Velcro strips going around here were pulled as tight as I could, possibly get them. And it ended up staying in place perfectly on the third wearing. And At that point, I could have walked around in this thing all day. Nothing was going anywhere. It was a little hard to sit, but I could sit. Unlike the poor stormtroopers who were having a hard time just leaning against stuff, but I could sit down. So with that in mind, this is an awkward piece to engineer, an awkward piece to design. But basically, I would say maybe if you wanted the gasket thing, maybe make this thing a couple inches shorter overall, and or maybe even make the gasket a little thinner. It went around my leg just a little too far, because you can see all of the scratching and the paint coming off. And again, wearing the paint off isn't necessarily a bad thing. It does give it kind of a battle damaged look, I guess, or wear and tear look. The foam took some abuse, but again, everything pretty much held together. The only real damage to anything other than cosmetic was stuff that I did myself, and that was where I cut things up to make it work a little better. Codpiece looks a little off, and you know what? I forgot to shape this thing, and what I would basically do is I would shape it so it's shape it basically so it's kind of cupping the nether regions rather than just covering the nether regions. But you know what? If I had to use the restroom, I just flipped that sucker up, ease down the spandex, and I was good to go. Now, one thing I would consider doing, these are snap fasteners like you use on a jacket. I'd consider actually had some of these in the house, and I would consider certainly using these snap fasteners to attach the thigh pieces and the leg pieces, and the knee piece and the shin guards, rather than trying to have it attached by the strapping. That might make things a little easier, but like I said, I had no problem with the lower legs. The thigh, particularly the left thigh, was what was giving me the trouble. Finally, let's go to the rifle. Talk about that. I did not have to use the orange barrel tips, because what happened was when we got to Comic-Con, they piece bonded it. Yeah, and with that, they originally put it on the scope, but I used the tip of an X-Acto, and I worked the little lever thing back and pulled it out. So now I was carrying this thing basically at port arms the whole time, with the barrel down. So what was happening was the buttstock assembly and the trigger assembly were tending to rub against the armor, and you can see where I rubbed the paint just clean off. And again, no big deal. It didn't really show because of the way I was holding it. Let me show you the other side here real quick. Yeah, it didn't really show because of the way I was holding it. But, every now and then we get a little dinged up. And a lot of folks were surprised about how light this thing is, and there were a couple of folks who were carrying some heavy stuff. So now anyway, I need to finish this up here real quick, because I'm running up to the YouTube limit. But the hot glue that I took, I ended up having to re-glue a couple of these, because one kid, he was like, "Ooh, cool," and boop, popped right off. So he was really apologetic, and no, like I said, told him, it's okay, that happens. So anyway, the M8 came out really well. So with that, I've got a lot of pictures that I'm going to put together in a slideshow, edit those together, see if I can set up to some music, and I guess that's it. If you got questions or anything, give me a shout, and I'll be glad to answer them. But that was the problem. Those were the problems I ran into, the good things and the bad things, while I was at Comic-Con, and maybe you can use that to kind of take things into mind. So this is going to get put away for a few months. So if you happen to be in Arizona around Halloween, Southern Arizona and Halloween, swing by Bisbee and come to their Halloween Street Festival, and you might see me there. So talk to you later. Bye.